That's Not a Daffodil by Elizabeth Honey, narrated by David Stant. One day, Mr. Yilmaz from next door called in with a basket of apples and a crumpled paper bag. "What is it?" asked Tom. "It's a daffodil," said Mr. Yilmaz. "That's not a daffodil," said Tom. "That's an onion." "Well, let's plant it and see," said Mr. Yilmaz. Turn the page. So they planted the bulb with the pointy end up in a large round terracotta pot. "There," said Mr. Yilmaz, patting it down. "That will grow into a beautiful daffodil." Turn the page. Tom watched the pot, but nothing happened. Nothing, nothing, nothing. The next time Mr. Yilmaz dropped by, he asked, "How's the daffodil?" "That's not a daffodil," said Tom. "That's a desert." "Then we will make it rain," said Mr. Yilmaz. Turn the page. So they made it rain and put it in the sun. Turn the page. When Mr. Yilmaz brought in a fine bunch of carrots, he asked, "How's the daffodil?" "Don't know," said Tom. "Well, let's have a look," said Mr. Yilmaz. Turn the page. "Now what do you think?" asked Mr. Yilmaz. "That's not a daffodil," said Tom. "That's a green beak." "So it is," laughed Mr. Yilmaz. From time to time Tom measured the beak. It was growing, and while Mr. Yilmaz was away in Turkey, the green beak opened up. Turn the page. "How's the daffodil?" asked Mr. Yilmaz when he came home. "That's not a daffodil," said Tom. "That's a hand with 5 flat fingers." "Green fingers," agreed Mr. Yilmaz. Turn the page. One blustery winter's day, Mr. Yilmaz blew in with a large pumpkin. "How's the daffodil, Tom?" "That's not a daffodil. That's Grandpa's hair in the wind." Mr. Yilmaz chuckled. "He needs a haircut." Turn the page. It was pouring with the rain when Mr. Yilmaz brought in a bucket of lemons. "Ah, now we can see the bud of the daffodil," said Mr. Yilmaz. "That's not a daffodil," said Tom. "That's a wet rocket." "To the moon?" asked Mr. Yilmaz. "To the moon," said Tom. Turn the page. One day Mr. Yilmaz brought his grandchildren to play, Leela and little Khan and the big bouncy dog Carabash. They were trying to catch Carabash when he bounded away and knocked the pot. "Ow-ah!" cried the little Khan. "Call the plant ambulance," said Leela. "Mr. Yilmaz!" yelled Tom. Turn the page. Mr. Yilmaz helped them pat the soil back in. "Will it still grow?" asked Tom. "I believe so," said Mr. Yilmaz. "The roots have not been disturbed. Now give it a drink, Leela, and put some water in the bird bath too." Turn the page. In a couple of days the daffodil wasn't floppy anymore. "How's the daffodil after its little bump?" asked Mr. Yilmaz. "That's not a daffodil," said Tom. "That's a street light." Mr. Yilmaz smiled. "Shining yellow. Spring's not far away." Turn the page. When Tom came home from a weekend at his grandma's, he ran to look in the backyard. "Mr. Yilmaz!" cried Tom. "Mr. Yilmaz! Ask the question!" "How's the daffodil?" laughed Mr. Yilmaz. "Quick, come look!" Turn the page. "Oh," said Mr. Yilmaz. "Now is that a daffodil?" Tom nodded his head. "That's a daffodil, yes." Turn the page. "But it's also a trumpet of gold." The end.